So now we have our box office top 10 brought to you by our friends at ComScore.
Are they friends, though, Simon? Are they friends or are they robot overlords?
Well, they might be both. So you never know which of your friends is actually a robot overlord anyway. So,
Are you a bot?
Well, I'm not. All I can say is when I sign into YouTube, I'm Simon 555333XLPT01. And that's the giveaway. I'm slightly disturbed that the box office top 10 actually starts at 10,
Yes,
which I don't
know.
think it's ever done before.
I know.
So rather disconcertingly, at number 10, it's If, but not that one. It's the new one.
So I think this is the final, the final moment of it in the top 10. As we've said, it's fine. I think it could have been better, but it's fine and it's done very well.
The Garfield movie is at number 9.
Just shocking. How did it do as well as it did? Well, it was half term.
Number 8, Horizon, an American saga. Simon Briggs in Amsterdam, grade 7 clarinet.
Yes.
Dear Argle Fargle and Dragon, I've not seen Horizon, an American saga chapter 1, but saw this screenshot of someone trying to book tickets. The only occupied seats are 7 solo seats in an otherwise very empty 165-seat cinema.
Right.
I feel this may tell us a lot about the film. Not only is it unpopular, it's very unpopular with couples. That no one is willing to see it with a friend in case the friend judges them for seeing such a bad film. Keep up the fantastic production, presenting, and contributions all. And then Simon signs off by saying, tinkety-tonk, and down with octogenarians being in charge of the world. So before you talk about Horizon and American Saga, can I just mention in passing,
yes,
old people, Mel Brooks, 98, David Attenborough at Wimbledon this week, 98, Jimmy Carter, 99. So you can be incredibly old and still completely in charge of everything.
Well, we should remember that Mel Brooks recorded what I think was actually the best original song in a movie last year. He wrote and recorded There Was Nothing Like the Coffee at the Automat for that film, which came out last year. That means do you say he's 98 now? He will have been probably when they made the film 96. And that is one of the best movie songs I have ever heard written and sung by Mel Brooks.
By the way, if you look up, so Simon Briggs says grade 7 clarinet. David Attenborough, I'm just mentioning these. His full titles: David Attenborough, OM, GCMG, CH, CVO, CBE, FRS, FSA, FRSA, FLS, FZS, FR, SGS, and FRSB. More acronyms than we have on this program, and they're all attached to the fantastic David Attenborough.
FFS, WTF.
Yes,
wow.
Exactly. Anyway, Horizon's at number 8.
I mean, I think I'm disappointed by Horizon because I wanted it to be better than it was. I think that there is something preposterously presumptuous about making a film that's 3 hours long in which the story really doesn't start. You have 3 separate strands. I mean, I admire the idea of doing a great sweeping epic Western, but I just think that after 3 hours, you really need to do more than just set up the remaining movies. They talked about there being 3 or 4 in the series, and there are some wonderful things on the screen, but I can't see them getting beyond the second one theatrically, to be honest. I think that by the time we get to the third one, if there is a third one, it'll be straight to streaming.
It's number 3 in the States anyway, number 8 here. Number 7, Jat and Juliet 3.
Yeah, so not press screen, but Indian Punjabi language romantic comedy, which is, as it says here, and you never guess this, it's the sequel to Jat and Juliet and Jat and Juliet 2.
Number 6, number 9 in America, it's Kinds of Kindness.
Well, I kind of feel like I ought to hand this review over to you, Simon, and say, give me the full... because you and I feel very differently about this. I think I really enjoyed it. I think I compared the humor to Beau is Afraid, which I know you really didn't enjoy either. And I think in order for the program to have balance, I should say that I thought it was terrific. I thought it was really kind of head scrambling. As I said, when I interviewed Robbie Ryan, the cinematographer, I started off by saying, what on earth was all that about? But I found that dyspeptic humor, because it's from the same guy with whom Yorgos Lanthimos wrote things like Dogtooth. I thought it was great. You found it fairly intolerable.
Yeah, well, it's like if you really hate heavy rock music, I
Yeah.
wouldn't send you to Wembley tonight to review AC/DC.
Yes.
Although you might, but you might be able to go, okay, I can appreciate that there's talent there. So I don't like Kafka-esque absurd movies.
Yeah.
That's just
Fine.
not what I like. So therefore, I found it a challenge to get through, but I can still appreciate that Jesse Plemons et al. Put in amazing performances. I would rather lie in the middle of the road than watch it again, but it's just not for me. That's
Is
all.
that going on the poster? Simon Mayo, I'd rather
I
lie
wouldn't have
in the
thought
middle
so.
of the road than watch
And
it again.
And on the other side, at number 5 is the Bike Riders. So that's outselling Kinds of Kindness.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Bike Riders, and it's done much better than I thought because, well, as you know, when I reviewed it, I compared it to Catherine Bigelow's The Loveless, and I thought that it would struggle at the box office, but have a sort of ongoing cult life. But I think it's really good and really stylish. And if it makes one other person go and see The Loveless, then that's a good thing. You're a fan of Bike Riders too, yeah?
Yeah, I thought it was. I thought it was great, and so much to admire. Again, it's probably not the movie you think it is if you just base your views on the poster. But fantastic performances from all the lead three actors. Bad Boys Ride or Die is at number 4 here and in the States.
Hugely successful financially. I don't understand the ongoing, desire to have more Bad Boys movies, but if they keep making this kind of money, that's what we're going to get.
Number 3 here, 5 in the States, Kalki, 2898 AD. You're going to say not press screened, I think?
Yeah, not press screened. So this is Indian Telugu language epic science fiction film. I'm going to go and see this over the weekend, and I will give you a report next week.
Ross has seen it already. So
good.
He says, Kalki, 2898 AD is the first movie in a proposed cinematic universe set in a dystopian future Earth with strong ties to Hindu mythology. And although it runs a solid 3 hours, its breezy nature and impressive attempts at world building mean it didn't feel its length. Being the most expensive film to ever come out of India, this movie had some huge expectations to overcome, and it mostly succeeds. Visually, it's very appealing, sitting halfway between Mad Max and Star Wars, and the plot is vaguely similar to Children of Men, but is quite tonally inconsistent, choosing seemingly random moments to switch between intense violent scenes and wacky hijinks, which can get quite jarring. It also reminded me quite heavily of Elysium, Neil Blomkamp's follow-up to District 9, but while neither of these films are exactly subtle in their messaging, I prefer Kalki, as its mythological elements are more interesting than the scattershot approach to social reform that Neil uses in Elysium. Still, I would recommend it wholeheartedly, as it offers a look at what the Telugu-speaking film industry would do if told to make a Dune-style science fiction epic. And what they've made is a whole lot of fun. And Telugu, if you're wondering, is the language native to southern India and spoken by 96 million people.
Fantastic. Well, that's good because that has set me up for, I'm going to see it on Saturday. So excellent.
Number 2 is A Quiet Place, day 1. So a couple of emails on this.
Yes.
Dear Akko and Pulko, this is Joe in Wiltshire. I completely agree with Mark when he said he wasn't scared like he had been for parts 1 and 2, but disagree where he said it might be a problem and that the gimmick has run its course. While it cannot give audiences the same heart-in-mouth feeling of fear the first film did, the second and third installments have each contributed to the lure of this world, each building on part 1. I'd argue this spin-off is just as stressful, just as tense, just as nail-biting. There was a genuinely unique story presented here by Michael Sarnowski. I'm struggling to think of any other disaster/apocalyptic film where a protagonist is in the same health predicament as Sam. How that alters her perception of the invasion and how we respond to her as a character. At no point did I think going into this film it would scare me. Instead, I went in wondering how a new set of characters were going to cope with a new environment. And then Fiacra says, I imagine a lot of potential viewers see this as a film perfectly suited to home viewing, but this would be a mistake. Not because it needs to be seen on a big screen, it doesn't, but because of the surreal and unique experience of sitting in a deathly quiet auditorium for 100 minutes, and I mean that in a good way, not in the Predator 2018 way. You could feel the tension, heavy, Here, every shift of bum in seat, sniffle of tear, sharp intake of breath. At one point, a viewer knocked over a metal water bottle, and the sudden silent shift as everyone around them tensed, and then the silent relief as everyone relaxed again was with a humor laden exhalation. But not one word was uttered before the credits rolled. So, anyway, that's a thumbs up for Quiet Place Day 1 and number 2.
It's great to hear people having those responses to it. And it's also great to hear that it is indeed, quiet and the audience is down everywhere, because the same thing happened in the screening that I was in. And in the quiet moments, it is very quiet, which is also funny because the trailer is the loudest trailer I've seen in a very long time. There's an interesting thing here, which was, if anyone noticed, last week, this show usually drops at midday on a Thursday. Last week, it dropped at 2:00. And one of the reasons was because the embargo on the review for Quiet Place Day 1 was 9:00 Eastern Standard Time on Thursday. And that was pretty much the time that you were able to go and pay to see a preview of the film, particularly in America. So they had held it back till the last possible moment. And usually when that happens, it means that the film company don't have a ton of faith in the film. I mean, unless it's a James Bond thing and they're doing it at the very last moment because they know it's going to be the biggest thing ever. Anyway, I think we were all pleasantly surprised by the fact that the film did still work. I think that it works because of Lupita Nyong'o, who I think is terrific. I don't know that there's another of these in the franchise that would hold up, but I think this does what I mean. It's not scary. I think that is a weakness, because I think that A Quiet Place movies actually should be scary, but it is very tense, and it's got a great performance by Lupita Nyong'o, and it does indeed make the audience go quiet.
And as we mentioned for the very first movie, and we've mentioned a few times since, to be in my local flea pit and for that to be completely silent, because I was really, really concerned that it was going to be a riot with people eating Mexican food.
Did even the drug dealers go quiet?
It was incredible. It was complete silence throughout that whole opening sequence. And I thought, okay.
Fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, so Quiet Place is at number 2. Inside Out 2 is at number 1.
And we've had, a ton of emails from people telling us the profound experiences that they've had with Inside Out 2, and, both them parents and their children, and children and their parents equally. And so it has managed to pull off a remarkable trick, which is to take the more complicated part of growing up, adolescence, and talk about that in a way that clearly speaks directly to the audience. My concern was that this time there were perhaps too many characters and it was too confusing. Evidently not. I mean, the audience response speaks for itself.